Mev the Alien. Welcome back. This is week 9 of my $2 beginner poker challenge. I'm turning $2 into $2,000 playing poker without making an initial deposit. Last week I dished 888 poker and moved my winnings over to PokerStars, and you'll see how that went in just a few seconds. So we skipped last week, we didn't play any poker, but the week before that we were up $18. The bankroll total was $165, which is 8.3% of the way to the $2,000 goal. And the goal for this week was to work on tilt, so let's see how that went. This is a 1 cent, 2 cent game, and we get ace-4 on the button. It folds around to us, and I just want to take down these blinds. Obviously we're opening ace-4 suited here, and this guy calls. Flop is pretty dry with 2 kings, and he donks into me. And this has been happening a lot. People keep donking into me, and I think a lot of the time they're just bluffing, trying to take down the pot. And this guy, he's got aggression factor of 10, and his other stats look kind of aggressive over a small sample size. I think he's got air, and he thinks I got air, so I'm going to raise him, and he folds. I played about 500 hands of these 1 cent, 2 cent deep stack ante games. And in this hand, there's a weird bug. The pot's 11 cents. You can see 8 cents in antes on the table, but it's not including the 1 and 2 cent blind. So there's actually 3 more cents on the table here. So it folds around to the button who open limps, which is usually the sign of a poor player. And this guy raises pretty ridiculously big, and I go all in. And the button folds. Villain calls. I can't remember why I went all in here. I was probably tilting, but I might have had a read on this guy. Like maybe he just lost a hand and I thought it was tilting. But yeah, it's probably me who's doing the tilting. Anyway, let's see what happens. He wins with a full house 9-3 offsuit. How can you even... But you know, alright, take a deep breath and move on. And this is how I should think about the hand. Opening up Equilab, Queens versus 9-3. He's going to win that about 12% of the time. So I just got to remember, you know, this is one of the 12% of the times that they're going to win a hand like that. But most of the time I'm going to win, and in the long run I'm going to be ahead. We're at a 1 cent, 2 cent table here, and this is an obvious open on the button. We get one caller and we hit a jack. Villain just folds. He donk folds. Oh, that was an easy hand. Once upon a time, I had 2 of a kind. Pocket J's at a 1 cent, 2 cent in the small blind. I'm also a professional rap artist, in case you couldn't tell. Under the gun opens up for 7 cents. Folds around to the button who does a min raise for 12 cents. And I call. And that looks like a decent flop for us. But remember that Villain did 3-bet pre-flop, although it was a pretty small 3-bet. There's a bet and a raise, and I think this is a pretty clear fold. Even if we are ahead with our overpair, we still have 2 streets left to play out of position with pocket jacks, and I don't want to do that. And it is quite likely that Villain has an overpair to ours or a set. So I fold, and this guy calls. Let's just play the hand out to see what they have. And they get it in, and we get Queen Jack. That guy, whoa, didn't play it very well. And Villain did have a set here, so yeah, I was glad I folded. This is a 1 cent, 2 cent table. We open up pocket queens under the gun, and pretty much the whole table calls. So here we have an overpair. I don't like being out of position here, and I end up c-betting kind of small here. I think that should have been a bit bigger because Microstakes players don't like to fold overcards, and as a result, everybody calls except for one guy, and here we get an overcard. And I'm just going to check here because I don't want to put more money in the pot at the position here when I don't have top pair. And it checks around. Nobody bets. And here I think this is a thin value spot. I bet out kind of small. What I'm thinking here is nobody has a king. They would have bet that on the turn. Nobody has a set. You know, 3s, 8s, and 5s should have raised the flop. So here I'm thinking maybe I can get ace high to call, or an 8, or maybe another pocket pair. And we get one caller. Let's see what he's got. Pocket 10s. So I'm not sure if that was a good spot for thin value or not. Let me know what you guys think. Put a comment below and tell me if you think it was a good or bad spot. This is another 1 cent, 2 cent game here. We get pocket kings. This guy opens up and I 3-bet. Folds around and he calls. So I think if he's got aces, I think he should be raising here. And he donks out for half pot, and I call. You could raise here. I'm not sure why I called. I think I might have been paranoid that he had a set of jacks or something like that. But anyway, turn is an ace. He checks, and just in case he's being sneaky with ace jack or something like that, I check behind. The river's another ace. Now if he was donking half pot with a flush draw, then he just got there, but he checks. So I don't think he's got a flush draw. I don't think he has an ace, and he's checking two streets with an ace in his hand here. So I think this is a thin value spot, because I wasn't showing a lot of strength post flop anyway. And I bet a little under half pot, and he calls, turns over pocket tens. We're at a 1 cent, 2 cent with ace king under the gun, and I open up kind of big. I don't want too many people calling behind me, and we get one call from this guy. And top pair, top kicker, so I'm gonna c-bet that, and he raises me quite big. Now looking at this guy's stats, he's playing 9% of hands, so I think he's pretty tight, and he probably has something good here. Usually when you get raised like this, you gotta fold. He's probably got ace jack or a set. There we go, fold. So I could have lost about $2 there, but instead I only lost 24 cents. This is a 1 cent, 2 cent table. We open up pocket eights under the gun, and we get one caller. We're heads up on the flop, and we nail it. I bet out 12 cents, which is 80% of the pot. Now, I actually think this should be a pot size bet. It should be 15, because I want to start building a big pot on the flop, so value bets on the turn in the river can be bigger without them being over bets. And if this guy's a fish and he's got any ace, he's going to call pot size bet here. And he calls, and then I'm continuing to pile the money in. 80% of pot each time, and he turns over ace 4. I take down that pot. Let's see how much bigger the pot would have been by the river had I bet 15 cents. So here I bet 12 cents on the flop, and then continued to bet 80% on each street, and the pot was 272. Had I bet 15 cents, then each bet on the following streets would have been bigger, and the final pot would have been 314, which is 42 cents more. So half of that would have come from my stack, 21 cents, so that means I would have got 21 more cents from his stack. So small mistake, but I think you should be trying to extract the most value from your strong hands when you can. This is a 2 cent, 5 cent game, and I call this guy's opening raise with ace jack suited. Three-way, and we hit top pair on the kicker, top pair on the flop, and he bets out, and I call. The other guy folds, and he bets out on the turn, and I call. What could he have here? He could have a weaker jack than me, he could have a draw, or he could have an overpair. Anyway, I just call, and the flush draw gets there, and he bets out. I call. Now, do you call here, or do you fold? He turns over the nut flush. And so I'm wondering if I could have played this hand differently, maybe raise on the flop or the turn or something like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. Put a comment below. Would you have played this hand differently, and if so, how? According to Poker Tracker, we're up about $40 this week, but according to Poker Stars, we're up only $35.40. I'm not sure why there's a $5 discrepancy there, but we'll go with Poker Stars because that's where the real money is. The bankroll total is $200.82, which is 10% of our way to the $2,000 goal. The win rate this week was 16 big blinds per 100 hands. Adjusted for all in, it's about 18.5 big blinds. So running a little bad. But I think mostly I was just playing poorly. Lately it's become pretty clear that when I run bad and when I lose, I get tilted and I get frustrated and I start playing bad. So my goal for next week is to make a plan for managing tilt. And my sort of statistical goal is going to be 20 big blinds per 100 hands. Show your love, click like, and subscribe. Put a comment below. I would love to hear what you guys think about any of the hands that you just watched. You can find me at evthealien.com. My Facebook and Twitter are also evthealien. I'm evthealien. See you next week.